It's the Hanger Hangout episode. What is this episode? Is this episode 44? I think it is. Listen, appreciate you guys for chopping it up with me on this wonderful Tuesday night. The New York Jets are officially in Combine Week, right? So we're talking about the Combine. You had our fearless leaders come out today and kind of break down their vision, what they were thinking when it came to the change of regime, so to speak, at quarterback. And honestly, it's kind of telling as to where their mindset is at, what their thought process is. So we're going to go ahead and talk about it. It's going to be a short show tonight. You know what I'm saying? I got you guys for about 25 to 30 minutes. If you have any questions you want answered, go ahead and put that in the chat. But we're going to go ahead and talk the comments today about the presser that we saw from Darren and, of course, from Aaron Glenn. We're going to talk about some of these rumors we're hearing about quarterbacks that could potentially be in the mix for the New York Jets. And honestly, I'm going to give you guys my thought process on the 2025 season and what I think us as Jets fans should be prepared for, but also excited for at the same time. So, yeah, I guess. I guess that's it. Let's talk Jets.
I can do it all, I will never fall. It's the Renaissance, you know that I got the mother sauce, man. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you ever lost? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance, man. I can do it all, I will never fall. It's the Renaissance, you know that I got the mother sauce, man. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you ever lost? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance, man.
Any players that's here now, put your seatbelts on and get ready for the ride. Put your seatbelts on and get ready for the ride. Listen, there are going to be some challenges, but with challenges becomes opportunity, gets opportunity. But here's what I do know. We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
And here we go. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Vero Beach, New York Jets, my guy. I appreciate you being in the chat, ready to go. He's just kidding about the dislike button. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's all about the love. He likes the show. He wants you guys to hit the like button and, of course, to subscribe. My boy DK, I haven't seen you in a minute, man. I feel like I haven't talked to you in a while. Me and DK, we used to do a show together with Gino, the Italy Jet fan. I haven't heard from Gino in a while either, man. I feel like we kind of fell off the face of the earth. Life happens. I get that. Man, DK, love to have you on the show sometime, bro. Just go out and catch up on old times. Yeah, man, listen, it's going to be a short show tonight. Only got about 30 minutes or so. Got a little thing going on with the wife after this, and I wanted to go ahead and make sure I don't miss it. But definitely wanted to go ahead and chop it up with you guys today and talk about, the Combine, man. What we heard from our head coach, our general manager. I kind of want to get a feel for what you guys are thinking. First and foremost, thank you again for being in the chat, but don't forget to go ahead and like and subscribe. 72% of you individuals who will watch this show, whether it's on YouTube, obviously, 72% of you are not subscribed. Listen, we're doing a awesome giveaway once we get to 2K subscribers. It's an autographed Joe Namath jersey. It's only going to be eligible for the first 2,000 subs, so make sure you're one of the individuals eligible for it. Jump off of Twitter or Instagram or whatever you're watching me on right now, and just jump on YouTube real quick. Do me a favor, quick like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel a little bit. Really trying to grow this channel. Want to get the 2K before the season kicks off. And if we can get there by the draft, there's going to be an even bigger giveaway. It's going to be like 3 things we're giving away. Mini helmets, the Joe Namath jersey, and another jersey will be given away as well. So, again, the closer we get to the draft, I'll see if we're going to get close to it, and then I'll start to show you guys the jersey, the other jersey, and the mini helmet that we can go ahead and give away for us hitting 2K. But without further ado, let's talk Combine. Listen, it's been quick so far, right? I don't know if it's just me. I was just talking to Connor on his show about this, but it seems like this offseason is rapidly going by, right? The draft is about 50 something days away. We've got the combine happening right now over the next couple of weeks. I, for one, am excited about the draft. Combine, not so much, man. I think over the years of watching the combine, I've gotten to that point now where I realize it's more of a dog and pony show, and it doesn't really speak volumes to how these guys are going to be at the next level. And we get really pumped up and excited over 40 times and how much they lift and, all these drills. And I get it. If that's your cup of tea, it's your cup of tea. But the tape talks. The tape is where you're going to go ahead and get the real deal in regards to what to expect from these guys. And I think I've just kind of become that guy. Maybe I'm more of a snob when it comes to just watching, the film on these guys with pads on, vice what the combine brings. I'll still be watching. I'm sure I will. But I'm not as pumped about it as I once was. I'm just waiting for the draft. I'm pumped for the draft. Talking about the future of the Jets. Today, we had the ability to hear from Aaron Glenn and Darren Mogi. And they kind of gave us a lot to kind of really talk about, man. I'm going to start with both of them collectively in terms of how well they carry themselves. Listen, if you're a Jets fan, I think one of the things we all have come to understand and be on the same page about is whether or not whoever comes into One Jets Drive can handle our media. Can they handle us as a fan base? Because we go hard. We go hard. We are quick to call out stupid when we see it. We're loyal to a fault. We're excited to a fault. However, once you show us that you're not built for this, we will let you know it. So you got to have, I think, a strong demeanor about you when it comes to being the coach of the Jets or the general manager for the Jets or anything really related to the New York Jets. You've got to come with strong conviction to be able to go ahead and handle the fan base and to handle our media. And I got to tell you, seeing our GM and head coach now for the second time in terms of a press conference, I think, once again, man, we've got that guy. We've got those guys. I think in the way they carry themselves, man, they just show a level of confidence and certainty about their direction. It's like if you're a firefighter, right, and or you're trapped in a burning building and you need help, you need to be saved. I think you want somebody coming through the door, kicking the door down, that just seems composed, not freaking out, not yelling or screaming or panicking themselves. Just composed, you know what I'm saying, coming into this burning building to kind of help you or guide you out of that building. And I think those two guys embody that in the sense that the New York Jets is a burning building, right? We've all been trapped inside this burning building for the longest of times. We don't know if someone's going to save us or if it's all going to come collapsing on us. And here comes these two guys kicking the door in. They seem to be ready to go. They're not really worried about the chaos around them. They're focused on achieving the mission of getting us out safely. And that's the vibe these guys are putting out there. So for me, I think when you saw this press conference today, and I know a lot of us are going to sit here and talk about how it wasn't exciting. It wasn't exciting, right? It wasn't meant to be an exciting press conference, but it kind of gave you a peek behind the curtain, so to speak, as to who the adults are that we currently have in the building, man. And I know I've said it before, but we've got adults at One Jets Drive, and I think that matters a lot. And if you're one that doesn't think it matters, and I know we've heard over and again the leader of men thing, and a lot of us kind of dabbed Saleh with being that guy, but I think we all kind of got with Saleh because he kind of had this ability, this high energy, this high tempo about him that we saw from the 49ers, and we were kind of hoping we were going to get that with the Jets. He was very, very well spoken. He seemed in control, but it just seems like really kind of went off the rails. He never really kind of got his foot underneath him, and it started showing, month in and month out. But again, I know it's early, but in terms of just the way they carry themselves, just the way they've already embraced the us mentality and how they want this thing to go, you got to appreciate it. Now, I'm going to give you guys an example of what I'm talking about, right? So the biggest component I think I was kind of looking at to see how these guys are going to handle was the Aaron Rodgers situation, right? The thought process of how do you go from letting go of a quarterback who put up top 15 stats for you last season, who apparently wanted to be there, and you're trying to convince this organization, the fans, the team that you're trying to win, because the guy's name is, of course, Aaron Rodgers. And the way they tackled those questions, man, from the media was just, it was textbook. It was just textbook from what you want to hear in terms of relaying a level of confidence and certainty. And they did so with a sense of class that didn't really demean Aaron Rodgers, but in the sense of, listen, we're trying to go ahead and build this thing to where we're just not winning now, but it's sustainable winning. They spoke really eloquently about how this whole process is about the team as a whole and how we can continue to get this team to not just win now, but to win continuously. And I take from that, when it came to the winning now aspect, that's them pretty much admitting, like, yeah, with Aaron Rodgers, you're looking at a window of winning now in the interim. But what we're hoping to do with this team is to have sustained success, sustained winning. And in that sense, they didn't disrespect Aaron Rodgers, understanding what he could potentially do now, but made us, or allowing us, to focus on what we're trying to do long term. Let's be honest, Aaron Rodgers was not going to be on the table for us long term wise. So they got ahead of that. They spoke to the media about that, to where, like, the media really had no angles to kind of attack them and question them about it, saying throughout their entire press conference. But now let's go ahead and kind of break down them as individuals, right? Aaron Glenn specifically came out there specifically poised. He spoke about key components on the roster, how he loves the players that he has in the room. He's excited about some of the young talent that we have. He explained why he brought in a guy like Steve Wilks to be his defensive coordinator, how they share very, very similar philosophies, and that he feels confident that he's going to be able to run his defense the way he wants his defense ran. And I'll tell you this. So watching Aaron Glenn speak to the media about his team, right? About, his coaches, about why he chose this coaching staff. Like, it's an individual who is in control and is proving to us that he's got his hands in every aspect of how this thing is running. And likely I'm going to go ahead and explain to you how, when it comes to like Darren Muji, that you can tell, like, yeah, you're the GM, but like, you work more for rather than with, I guess, Aaron Glenn. And it's not to say it's in a bad way, but it's to say that I think there's a vision that Aaron Glenn has obviously put out there that he believes is the way to go of how to turn this team around. And everybody in the building is listening. And that includes, Muji, even though he's the GM. But again, breaking down Aaron Glenn, just talking about his level of confidence. And, he was asked a question about Tyrod Taylor, which I'm going to talk about Tyrod Taylor as well, which apparently an article came out that states that he is the favorite to be the quarterback for the New York Jets, right? Aaron Glenn didn't run with that and say, most definitely that's our guy. Instead, he stated that, like, he's a talented guy. He's a 500, quarterback. He can play in this league at a high level, and we're going to entertain all of these aspects once we've got the people in the building. We haven't done free agency yet. We haven't done the draft yet. So we really can't go ahead and make promises or any kind of directions. He wasn't allowing himself to be forced into a corner of just saying, like, yeah, you're right. We're going to go with freaking Tyrod Taylor. Again, he took control of the audience. He was in control of the media the entire time. There was no tongue twisting. There was no freaking getting him off his step. He was on his line. He stood on his line, and he didn't budge. Love to see that, because I think in terms of the moves that's been made thus far, there's 50% of us who believe there was a right call to let Aaron Rodgers go. 50% of us who think, like, we're punting on the season. What are we doing? There's already question marks. I've already seen one individual talk about fire Aaron Glenn. We haven't even had the draft yet, but, you're already seeing a little bit of, I guess you can say, turbulence in terms of the thought process of whether or not we made the right choice with Aaron Glenn or not. Personally, I think we made the right choice, and I'm not ready to go ahead and punt on the season yet until we see how this thing turns out. So Aaron Glenn, I think, did an incredible job breaking down that his vision for this team is all about the long term, right? And he wants to be able to compete for Super Bowls. Like, he came here to win games. He didn't come here to win for now. He didn't come here to break the playoff drought curse, right? Or he came here to win games. Sustainability is what he wants when it comes to this process. I think he wants to be the coach for the Jets for the next 2 decades, given the opportunity and, of course, given the success that he'll have while he's here. So Aaron Glenn, I think, really kind of like infused himself as, listen, this is my team. I'm the Aaron here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm the captain here. Like, I'm the Aaron. This is my vision on how we're going to go ahead and get better. And people are going to have to get on board with that. And you've got to respect that, because a lot of people I've seen are starting to wonder whether or not it's just too much for him, and that he felt like Oh, I get it. The reason why like he got rid of Aaron Rodgers is because he's jealous or couldn't be able to handle it, or his ego might get in the way. Listen, I don't think that's the case. People keep forgetting that Aaron Glenn was a successful NFL cornerback. You know what I'm saying? This is an all-pro guy. He was a first-round guy. He was picked higher than Aaron Rodgers was picked. This is also a guy that went to the Detroit Lions, a team that was us, was the NFC version of us, and was a part of that process of turning them around and making them a contender. So I think the logic that the reason he got rid of Aaron Rodgers is because he was scared doesn't hold water in my opinion. I just don't believe that's the case. I think this is a guy who really has a vision of how he wanted to run things. And I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers was against it. I'm not saying he was for it. You've seen so many different articles saying like Rodgers wanted to be there. He begged to stay. Then Rodgers didn't want to be there. He wanted to leave and didn't want to be a part of it. Rodgers, was neutral about that. Like there's just so much stuff going on right now. It's really hard to believe any of it. Ultimately, Aaron Rodgers is no longer the quarterback of the New York Jets. Aaron Glenn has taken the stance as like he's the captain now, like this is his team. And I think today in that press conference, he further reiterated that, which should bode well for us as a fan base. Because again, the biggest question mark that we've been wondering now after believing and tricking ourselves into thinking that we had the team set up and we were just a quarterback away of being freaking thugs. We got beat up and picked on. We weren't the bullies. We were bullied, this past season. It didn't matter that we got freaking Aaron Rodgers. We still got freaking dog walked by other teams in the NFL. Aaron Glenn is an adult in the building. Like you can see it, you can sense it. Like when it comes to it, there's no question of who's running the team, right? With Saleh and Ulbrich and Hackett, like everyone knew like it's Rodgers' team. It's Rodgers and friends. It's Rodgers and this and Rodgers and that. And Aaron Glenn has established himself like, now this is my team, and team is going to be first. That is utmost to him that the team is put first. And I love that. Because at the end of the day, you got to have admiration, loyalty, and excitement for the name on the front of the jersey more so than the back. And Aaron Glenn is already starting to embody this. So I thought he did an incredible job with this press conference. Again, maybe it's just me as a very, very positive Jets fan trying to go ahead and find some positive insight. But there wasn't anything not to like about the way he presented himself today as the leader of the New York Jets. Now, moving on to Moogie. I say Moogie, Mougui. I'm going to go with that's correct, all right, until somebody corrects me. Our GM, D Moogie, Darren Moogie. Such a funny name. Anyway, again, his press conference also reiterated a level of confidence in the game plan. Like he understands the assignment. He's not shying away from it. He again tackled the Aaron Rodgers situation like up close and personal. Again, they tried to go ahead and kind of get it. The media was trying to get an idea of whether or not Davante Adams or Sauce Gardner are they getting extensions? Are they going to be on the like? He avoided it. He played chess while they were playing checkers. He gave compliments where compliments were due. He made them know that these are talented guys. We want talented guys on this roster. You need talented guys to win games, and these guys are very talented. He didn't go ahead and show his playing cards, but he also didn't disrespect those guys in the sense of saying, anybody's replaceable. You know what I'm saying? Like anybody can be changed. Like he didn't do any of that. He spoke about how talented these guys were and how in order for this team to win, you're going to need talented guys. And he complimented them in that sense, but not also giving the media, the idea that, we're giving a freaking, a mega contract to get Garrett or to freaking Sauce, or that Davante Adams is definitively on the team. We're just restructuring. He didn't say any of that. Now, he did state that, there's been conversations with Davante and his team, but he was going to keep those conversations, privately, while also reiterating the fact that he's on the New York Jets. He's on the New York Jets. There's no plans for him to not be otherwise as of right now, right? So, again, a lot of us made the assumption, or at least I thought that, with Aaron Rodgers leaving, that meant Davante Adams might also be out the door. I will say this. If Davante Adams is on this roster, it makes you wonder who the quarterback might be. Because I would think that he's not trying to be – he doesn't have a lot of years left, right? I think maybe 2 more years playing good to really good football at the wide receiver position. Does he want to waste that with uncertainty at the quarterback position like he did with the Raiders? I don't think so. But the fact is, he's still on the team. They've had discussions and behind closed doors, and they're going to keep it as such. So, who's going to be the quarterback? I mean, that's a fair question, right? Most important position on the field. We clearly don't have one identified right now, but word on the street, as they say, is that Tyrod Taylor is looking like the favorite to be the quarterback for the New York Jets. I'm going to cough now, so excuse me for a second. Sorry about that. But yeah, so like right now, Tyrod Taylor is the favorite to go ahead and be the quarterback for the New York Jets. Now, some people will say that's ridiculous. You're punting on the season. Tyrod Taylor isn't the guy. Like, he can't, like, the guy can play football. Tyrod Taylor is a 500 quarterback at the NFL level. He's got I think it's a 3-to-1 TD to interception ratio. Very accurate guy. He's still going to give you freaking plus mobility when it comes to the quarterback position. He can play ball. The question isn't about whether or not Tyrod can play football. Like, that's just ridiculous. He can play ball. It's all about whether or not he can stay healthy. The biggest question mark about Tyrod Taylor is, man, how many games are you going to give us? Because I don't think anybody believes it's going to be 17. I don't. You shouldn't. So how many games can he give us at the quarterback position? Now, if he can only give us, let's say, 7, 8 games, who's up next? Jordan Travis was somebody I think a lot of us were kind of high on. We were hoping that we'd get a chance to see him, showcase some of his skill set this year, but he never kind of bounced back from the injury. And in fact, it was a setback when it came to his injury. I think you need to bring in another guy. Tyrod Taylor, I think, being the starter going into the season makes a lot of sense, but I do appreciate the fact that Aaron Glenn didn't just give him the job. He didn't just dictate that, Tyrod Taylor was going to be the guy. I like the fact that it seems like the thought process is going to be, you're going to work for it. Even though I think right now, looking at it logically, that it just makes the most sense that it's Tyrod Taylor. I don't think a guy like Kirk Cousins comes into the building. I know Derek Carr was being rumored, but I don't think the Jets go there either. I honestly believe it's going to be Jameis Winston or Justin Fields that winds up being the other quarterback they bring in, and I think they might go ahead and take a late flyer on a quarterback in the draft, somebody in the 4th or the 5th round to bring into the building. This whole conversation about the Jets drafting at number 7 any of the current quarterbacks that are available in terms of Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward, Jackson Dart, I feel like we're begging to live in quarterback purgatory. Listen, I don't know. Cam Ward might be the one that has the highest upside, right? But even with that said, I still believe there's a lot of question marks about his game. I don't know if he's got that go toe-to-toe with a Josh Allen freaking week in and week out. We saw Drake May start to look like he's got it figured out towards the back end of the season. With better coaching now, maybe some better weapons, can he be a problem for us now too? I don't want us to do what the Dolphins have done, where you get a guy that can play just good enough, and you find yourself in quarterback purgatory. Yeah, you're going to win some games in the regular season, but that's the extent of your success. I think Cam Ward is that guy. I think he's the guy that's going to be able to win you some games in the regular season, and that's pretty much the extent of your success. I don't think Shedeur Sanders should even be going in the first round, although he will. Jackson Dart, I wouldn't pick him in the first round either. I think somebody would do it, and I hope it ain't us. But after that, man, I think if we're being honest with ourselves, the New York Jets aren't a quarterback away. I think what this season proved to us is that coaching matters 100%. I think coaching definitely high up on the list of what really matters. But also depth matters. We lack depth in key pieces. We're about to potentially lose DJ Reed, so we're going to need some help in the cornerback room. We're going to need some help in the wide receiver room. We definitely need help in the tight end room. The safety room is gutted. We're going to need help in the safety room. The Jets are not a quarterback away. I think this draft, which is very, very heavy, I would say, in defensive skill sets, safety, defensive tackle. I was just on Connor's show, and Brian was also on there. We were talking about the running back position also being heavy. You go and you stack up on those. Tight end is another one I think is pretty good this draft class too. You stack up and build up on some of those pieces right now that we currently need. you go into this season with the thought process of it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough. Tyrod Taylor, I think, can win us games. Tyrod Taylor is good enough to go ahead and get us over this playoff freaking drought we've been on. He's good enough, I think. If we can play 12 games, we can sneak in as a wild card if the defense plays right, special teams plays right, everything lines up. But we're not winning a Super Bowl this year. The Jets are not winning a Super Bowl this year. I don't really care who you bring into the building. If Aaron Rodgers was still here, we weren't going to win a Super Bowl with just tweaking, the coaching staff and tweaking the players in the building. The Jets are not one player away. We thought we were. We fooled ourselves. But what it boiled down to is we had more holes that we were willing to admit to ourselves. And because of it, we hurt our own feelings. We watched this season, and it was painful. Like we watched the season prior to when Aaron Rodgers goes down after 4 snaps, and that hurt. That hurt a lot. But then we convinced ourselves after that year, even more so, like, bruh, man, if Aaron Rodgers was healthy, we could have won 10 to 12 games. We could have won the division. I've said it. I said it a lot. And then thought going into this year, like, heck yeah, this is going to be the year we put it all together. Aaron Rodgers is back. Even if he's only playing on one foot, we're going to go ahead and be able to – the Bills are rebuilding. You know what I'm saying? The Miami Dolphins are going to be the biggest threat we have in taking the division. The freaking Patriots are a laughing stock. Patriots beat us once. Dolphins came in second in the division. Buffalo Bills ran away. We were so wrong about this team, about our division, that I think I'm almost erring on going against what I think we should do, right? I think most of us should do that as Jets fans. Stop thinking about winning this season. I think if we're being honest with ourselves, I think you build up the current roster for next season. Now, I know the whole Kyler Murray thing has been also being floated around. Some individuals love Kyler Murray, and he would be potentially the best quarterback the Jets have ever had under center. But that's not saying much. We haven't had a lot of success at that position. I don't want Kyler Murray. I don't want to give up assets to go ahead and trade up for a quarterback in this draft class, or even to give up any assets to go get a quarterback in this offseason. Just pick a guy, a mid-round guy, take a swing on somebody. Hopefully Jordan Travis can go ahead and walk and then show us something in training camp. Tyrod Taylor, you bring in Justin Fields or Jameis Winston on a 1-year prove-it deal. And then I think next year is when you swing for the fences for your quarterback. Next year, if you tell me you want to give up 4 firsts, whatever, to move up and get your guy, that's when you do it. Because ultimately, you need a franchise guy to win at the NFL level. You do. You can get to the playoffs with a guy that can play quarterback well, an average guy at quarterback. But if you wanna go ahead and make it to the dance, if you want to be a Super Bowl contender, you need a franchise guy on your roster. That's just facts. Franchise guy. That's the only answer. And I don't think there's a franchise guy in this draft. I think you might have a couple of starting quarterbacks in this draft in a Cam Ward. Maybe Shedeur Sanders can be a starting quarterback in the NFL. I don't think there's somebody worth trading up for. I don't think there's a franchise guy that we can look at and say, this dude is going to go toe-to-toe with Josh Allen. Next season, I think you have more options. I think next season should be the primary focus on us getting our guy. So maybe I'm being naive. Again, maybe I'm being naive. Maybe I'm being freaking pessimistic. Maybe Cam Ward is that guy. Maybe freaking Shedeur Sanders, the switch goes off once you're in the pros and it matters most, and he becomes the quarterback version of his dad. You know what I'm saying? Like in terms of cornerback, greatest of all time, quarterback. I doubt it very much. But he becomes a quarterback version of what his dad was at the NFL at cornerback. But I just do not see a situation where getting the quarterback in this draft, getting the quarterback in free agency, getting the quarterback in any capacity this year allows this current roster to flip a switch and all of a sudden become contenders. We're not there. I don't think we're there. I don't think the Jets are contenders this year. I think if we're being honest with ourselves, we were very fortunate a couple of years now because of facing off against injured teams. I think I saw freaking the Buffalo Jet fan post that the Jets played 6 starting quarterbacks in like 2 seasons, which because injuries were a thing, right? Which allowed our defense to maybe look better than they were. There could be some real truth to that. It's hard to argue that, hey, going up against, the second guy really kind of helps the situation. I think the coaching was an issue. The defense may have been overrated. The special teams definitely fell off of a cliff. And now you got to look at the process of actually retooling. And again, I'm not saying rebuild because I do believe we do have key components on this roster, like guys who are NFL caliber studs. Breece Hall, stud. Garrett Wilson, stud. Sauce Gardner, stud. Quentin Williams, stud. Quincy Williams, stud. Jamian Sherwood, stud. They are dogs on this team. And you've got them at very important positions too. But we need some more, man. We need some more. And I think in this draft, you've got to go ahead and go get those guys. I see Zoe. I'm going to go ahead and just go through a little bit and then answer a couple of questions like I said before. I only got about 30 minutes today. I'm already going over that. But I definitely wanted to go ahead and kind of touch base on all of it, man. I mean, again, Aaron Glenn, Muji, love what I saw with those guys. Tyrod Taylor being the bridge quarterback for us for next year, I think makes a lot of sense. You're still going to need to bring in somebody to kind of make sure that they can play ball once he goes down because he's going to go down. Kyler Murray, I'm good. Listen, yes, he's exciting. Yes, it'd be fun to have Kyler Murray as the quarterback of the Jets, but are we talking about regular season success or we want to go ahead and really compete for, a Super Bowl? I think Kyler Murray is one of those guys, very, very gifted. God just blessed him with natural talent. But he's also that guy that likes his me time, likes his video games, prefers to play Madden, likes looking at film. Whenever you got to put in the quarterback's contract, you will put this much time aside to go ahead and watch game tape. That's not a field general. That's not the guy who's going to go ahead and get the guys together in the offseason to go ahead and just go throw the ball around and kind of that. He's not that guy. And no shade at him. You know what I'm saying? He's still been able to see some success at the NFL level, having that mindset, but I don't want to be regular season excited. I mean, that would be great. We would obviously accept it if that's our story, but winning a Super Bowl is the point. And I think that a guy like Kyler Murray doesn't really do that for us. Draft pick wise, man, I think for me, it's got to be Tet. I think Tet has the biggest chance of falling to us. Go wide receiver. Another complementary piece to the other side of Garrett Wilson goes a long way of preparing this base for the quarterback next year. The more weapons you have to assist the quarterback next season to go ahead and get into the process of becoming the franchise guy, the quicker you'll know if you've got a guy, right? Like one of the reasons why I love what Chicago did to show us that Caleb Williams might not be that dude is you gave the dude everything. And everybody's going to tell you now, like, oh, no, Caleb Williams didn't have the best situation going into, a young quarterback's ever gone into. When that was the consensus, like, wow, Caleb Williams is going to come into the best situation any quarterback's ever gone to when he's going to go ahead and dominate and make us all look for. The dude was mid at best. I think that was probably going to be a peak for him. More tape on him shows some of his tendencies. Defense is going to pick up on it. I think he's going to actually get worse. I think next season he'll probably be worse. But he had, all those tools. But you can look at him and you can at least be honest and say, you know what? I don't know if he's the generational talent they kept telling us. We didn't see generational talent. Can he potentially be an NFL starter? Time will tell. But we know he's no generational talent from what we saw this past season. So I think getting the components, the pieces around for us to know if we've got at least a ball player will go a long way, right? Listen, whoever Glenn brings in at the quarterback position, right? Like whether it's a high investment, whether it's in terms of cash, a contract or a trade or the draft, that's who they're tying their freaking career to. That's who they're tying their career to, because a 5-year contract is cool, but if you get it wrong with the draft and this kid has to sit, like there's just so many ways this can go wrong for them. So I think that the draft pick is going to be utilized to add another foundational piece to the offense. It wouldn't shock me if they went defense as well. We got some needs there. But my 2025 expectations, man, I think the Jets can potentially sneak in at 9 and 10 wins. They could probably sneak into a wild card, probably get bumped after, you know what I'm saying, the wild card. But I fully expect the Jets to hurt our feelings this year and get us 4 or 5 wins. And I say that because I think when you don't have the quarterback, getting wins in the NFL is very, very difficult. And I don't see a quarterback out there that's going to allow us to get wins at a cyclic rate. It's just going to be one of those things where we're going to need things to go our way to get wins. Can we win 9 to 10? Yeah, if things go our way. If the coaching steps up 10%, the defense steps up 15. I'm sorry. If the coaching steps up 50%, the defense steps up 15 to 20%, special team steps up 15 to 20%, we can go ahead and potentially get, a offense that utilizes the mobility of Tyrod Taylor and the running back room that we have, I think, is pretty stacked. Like the offensive line, we only saw them get better, more of a run-heavy freaking offense. The defense does their thing. You can sneak in and win freaking some games. But if I'm being honest with you, I think this is going to be one of those situations where there's some growing pains. And maybe it's me preparing myself for the worst case situation while expecting the best. But this season is not going to be pretty. It's not. I just don't see a situation where it goes smoothly for us. Maybe that's my Jets PTSD talking, right? I just don't see a situation where it all just pans out. Like Zoe says, I like Cam Ward over Sanders. I mean, yeah, I think Cam Ward is the best quarterback option in this draft class. But again, I wouldn't trade the farm for Cam Ward. I wouldn't do that. Now, some people have asked me, well, what if he falls to number 7? Would you go for him then? Listen, I'm gonna go ahead and take a page from Brian's page book. I was talking with Brian on Connor's channel before mine, and Brian made a very good point. You hope a guy like Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward falls down to number 7, so that you can go ahead and trade that pick for a boatload of picks for somebody else to come up and get one of these guys. And then you have more of the arsenal you're going to need for next year to go ahead and get your guy. But you can also stack up on building on some key pieces that we need right now on the team. We're not a quarterback away, guys. We're just not. Cam Ward's not helping this team. They're not. And again, if you get it wrong because the team is not ready to support a quarterback, more oftentimes than not, that quarterback struggles, that quarterback fails. So again, I have a feeling we're going to have a good competitive season, like 7 and 10 or 8 and 9, which will screw us in next year's draft. Now this is why I keep saying I'm going to be okay with selling the farm to move up, because I think we might have to. I think coaching was a huge component to why the Jets were horrible last year. I think we were outmatched. I don't think we had the advantage in any coaching matchup at all last season. I really don't. I don't even know if I can honestly say us against Mayo, we had the coaching advantage. The Jets coaching staff is so abysmal and so inept. It showed not just during the games, but then when we would go back and we watch the games again, it would show again and again and again. We did not have a single advantage. This team, this roster is good enough to get you 5 to 7 wins. It really is. You've got key components where you've got studs. I'm not going to say it again. Running back room. You have a stud wide receiver. You have a stud running back. You have a stud cornerback. You have a stud defensive tackle. Your offensive line is going to be a top 10. It finished off as a top 10 line last year after you freaking got rid of Tyron Smith. So you've got the offensive line. This roster is too good to not just win 5 to 7 games off of talent alone. Now, you infuse some competent coaching into it, I think the Jets could potentially win anywhere from 8 to 10 games. And then at that point, you're going to ask yourself or beg that whoever gets the first overall pick, maybe they got maybe they got Cam Ward in this draft or Shedeur Sanders in this draft. So they're not going to go quarterback for next season. And then you can go ahead and trade the farm to move up to number 1, because if it's a quarterback needy team, that sucks. Then you got to go for the second guy on your freaking roster. And then, it just goes down from there. So yeah, I'm with you too, man. I think that this team is going to be just good enough to disappoint us next year, because we're not going to be good at, we will either make a wild card or we'll just miss the wild card. But then we're picking a top 10 pick, which is just outside of that premium level you want to be at. Maybe a top 15 pick. God help us. And we got to trade up more assets to get up. So, yeah, I've got concerns about that too. But again, if you win those games and you sneak into the playoffs, I don't think any Jets fans upset about that. You then at least kill that freaking ridiculous monkey off of our backs when it comes to the playoff drought. But then definitively get ready to sell the farm to move up. Like I think in a situation like that, people will probably come for me here, but like you might even have to consider if your quarterback is in next year's draft. And again, I think there's going to be some dogs in terms of the quarterback position in next year's draft. You might have to give up one of your stars. Maybe you do have to add Q, you know what I'm saying, in the trade up to go ahead and go get your quarterback. Things to think about. Not pleasant things, but the quarterback position, if you don't have it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how good the other players in your roster is. It's not going to be enough to win when it matters. Maybe you have to, not only give a bunch of first and freaking seconds or whatever to get to the number one pick, but now you got to give up one of your studs, one of your premium guys. Is it Quinnen? Is it Sauce? It better not be Garrett. I think you can't afford to really give up players on offense when you've got a defensive-minded head coach and a proven defensive coordinator. So I think if we were going to do it, it would have to be on the defensive side of the football. But again, I digress. Hopefully we don't even have to worry about that. We're still able to get our guy. Any other questions here? Appreciate you, Jimmy Jess. No, you're being realistic. I am. I'm just looking at this thing, man, in regards to what it can be. And I do believe we are talented enough to be in that 7 to 9 wins, right? Can competent coaching push us to maybe surprise everybody and get into a wild card? I don't think we're winning. Again, we make the playoffs. That's an overachievement for this team next year. But I think it's a great thing in establishing culture. Now these guys have a taste for winning. They understand what it takes to win. That goes a long way to establishing that culture. Even if it means now we got to fight to get back to the top to get our freaking quarterback. Yeah, man, it's not as exciting for the last 2 off seasons have been, where we were talking like, oh man, playoffs, Super Bowl, like best roster in the NFL. Again, it wasn't just Jets fans who were saying this. Other analysts had us pegged as being one of the best rosters, a threat for the Super Bowl, a threat to the Chiefs. Like there was reports that had us as threats to the Chiefs. LOL. That didn't even come close to being accurate. Infrared. Cam Ward is that guy, but we can't afford him. Not now, unfortunately. Listen, I think Cam Ward is an exciting prospect. I think he's far from finished. But I think that's why I'm concerned too, right? Because we don't have the team around him to actually take advantage of what he does well. Because if you only wanted to focus on what he does well, while he develops and gets better, this is a guy I think who's going to need work at the NFL level. Then yeah, you go and you get him. But one, you've got to put in the work into making Cam Ward a franchise guy. And I'm not saying he is, but I think of anybody in this draft class, he probably is the guy that could potentially become a franchise guy. And like you said, but right now we don't have the time and we don't have the roster to afford him, right? To bring him on right now and take that chance, because he's going to need help at the NFL level. And I don't think we have that guy. Miguel Padilla, Cam Ward will be similar to Trevor Lawrence is another guy. At least in this situation, I think Cam Ward is being deemed more of an NFL starter, right? That has a ceiling that NFL GMs can feel comfortable with, whereas Trevor Lawrence was being pegged with that whole generational like talent type thing. Like, if we're being honest with ourselves, man, I don't think we've seen a true generational talent at the quarterback position since Andrew Luck. I think Andrew Luck is truly the last generational talent that we've seen at the quarterback position coming out of college. Like they were deemed to be generational, and they lived up to the hype of being generational. That dude took bum rosters with no offensive line to the playoffs time and time again, getting beat up along the way. Like, Andrew Luck was just so fun to watch, and we got robbed of him early because of poor general manager not understanding the aspect of protecting this guy and getting him an offensive line. But like the last time we saw a generational talent, in my opinion, it was Jam Ward. It was not Cam Ward. It was Andrew Luck. Thank you, Henry Padilla, for not being delusional. I want Cam Ward as a diehard Hurricane, but if it means taking him to tarnish Coach Glenn 3 years, it's not the way to go. Okay, I like that. That's real. No to Cam Ward, please. Team Jets first, like 100%. I'm all about Team Jets first. I don't think we are too far away from being. All right, Vero says, I don't think we are too far away from being competitive. I think this new offensive staff will specifically design plays around our playmakers or player talent. This with a so-so QB will still be dangerous. And agreed. I think again we've been so deprived of seeing what 21st century offenses look like as Jets fans that we're just under the impression like, oh my God, you need a god at quarterback in order for you to even matter, right? Because we haven't mattered in that long. But Sam Darnold last year took the Vikings to 14 win season. I don't know if that means Sam Darnold's a franchise guy. I mean, again, I'm a big fan of Sam Darnold, but this is a guy who's bounced around now from team to team to team, who's trying to figure it out. Geno Smith, another guy who couldn't figure it out, finally got to the freaking Seahawks, and then they kind of built the offense around him, and you started to see. So, like, yes, it's possible to be a scary freaking team when your offensive staff can cater to your strengths. We just haven't seen that. We haven't seen an offensive staff cater to our offensive strengths in years. So because of that, we're under the impression that unless you get the God mode, Josh Allen, like, quarterback, behind center, it's just going to be purgatory from now on, which is why I think Tyrod Taylor can be a problem for teams next year. The only concern I have is whether or not he can go ahead and stay healthy enough for it to matter. So, yeah, I agree. I think the team can still be dangerous. And then the only downside to that is I don't think this team is going to win the Super Bowl, which now means once we go to the playoffs, we get eliminated, we're giving up more to get our quarterback of the future in next year's draft. Because I do believe next year in the draft, they're going for a quarterback. I do. I think Moogie and Aaron Glenn have already talked about it, man, and they're looking at next year's draft class and be like, hey, this is one of these guys is who we're going to tie our careers to because they're both young at their positions. They're both first time at their positions. That decision is going to have massive impact on their success rate for the future. So I think they're looking at next year's draft class for potentially their guy. Imagine the scenario it comes off the Jets practice squad and just kills it and takes us to the playoffs. Yeah, listen, Miguel, it's not impossible. You know what I'm saying? We've seen this story before. What's his name, man? St. Louis Rams quarterback, Kurt Warner, right? Kurt Warner was a guy that came off of stocking shelves and then all of a sudden lit it up once he got his opportunity and ran with it. Miguel, I mean, Adrian could be that guy. He could be that guy. I mean, he was fun to watch in the preseason last year. And we don't know what we don't know because, again, our coaching staff was inept. They can't coach anybody up. We don't really know if these guys can either, but we do know they're young. They're coming from some offenses that are exciting in the NFL, and we're hoping to go ahead and see that get implemented here for us at One Jets Drive. I also think Stiggers will also really step up and surprise the NFL. I have a feeling the defense will be fine to be the top three, which will carry the team. Vero Beach, man. I don't know about top three. I would say we're in that top 10 conversation. I do like Stiggers more than some. I was actually on Connor's show earlier, and I didn't realize he wasn't really high on Stiggers until being on the show. But like I'm high on Stiggers, man. And for me, it's because you saw flashes of what he can do last year, coming in. You know what I'm saying, in short intermediate opportunities that he was given, but. Is also his mentality. This is a dude that was a sponge trying to learn as much as he can. And when you have a guy that comes from a background like his, man, that underdog story, I'm always going to root for it. And I feel like this is a guy who's gone through some turbulence in his life and he's come out on the other side of that, you know what I'm saying, like better for it. And he's the kind of guy that I think will continue to work to get better because he doesn't ever want to get back to that level of turbulence. So I do believe Stiggers is going to show up. I'm not going to say he's going to be on the level of a DJ Reed and then step right in and, we won't miss DJ. I think DJ Reed did some things, that we're going to potentially miss. But I think Stiggers can go ahead and give you, maybe not top 15, top 20 cornerback play, but can he be a top 32 guy on the other side of freaking Sauce Gardner, who's going to be a top 5 guy, top 3 guy? Yeah, absolutely. I think Stiggers can give us that potentially. I say we're a top 10 defense next year. I think we're going to see drastic improvements in stopping the run, which we're going to love as Jets fans because we've been getting run all over the last couple of years. That's going to be nice to see. The defense will be a little more aggressive. We might see an uptick in turnovers and an uptick in scoring defense. So that'll be pretty awesome. But I would be more comfortable betting the house that we're a top 10 unit next year. The following year, I think, going into year two in the system, and you add a couple more pieces that know the scheme and can complement the scheme, then we're in that top 5, top 3 conversation. I think I'd be more comfortable about it then. Because again, I do believe we've got some key components on the defensive side of the football that are just studs. And when you have studs, you know what I'm saying? That's only going to make your team better. Wife's going to kill me. Here we are going on 50 minutes. All right. Infrared, let Coach Glenn put his fingerprints on this team. Little by little, I can see us winning 7 games with Taylor if our O-line stays healthy and our coaching staff doesn't underutilize players like Corley. Corley's another one, actually brought up again on Connor's show earlier. I'm a fan of Corley, man, Malachi Corley. And it seems like a lot of fans have kind of like flipped off on him like he's done. This is a guy that I was high on out of college. I think he brings a specific skill set that's really transferable to the NFL level. I, again, don't think we had the competent coaching staff to unlock this kid's potential. And let's be honest, Aaron Rodgers wanted a specific type of wide receiver out there on the routes. I mean, he was having issues with freaking Garrett Wilson, for crying out loud. His communication style, the ability to understand the route tree, and I'm not going to say Malachi Corley was ready for all of that, you know what I'm saying, in year one. I'm still pumped about Malachi Corley. I think Malachi Corley can legitimately be a good to great wide receiver 3, maybe a fringe wide receiver 2. Hopefully that's not the case, and we wind up keeping either Devontae or you bring in a Tet to slide into the number 2 spot. But I like Corley as one of the weapons in that wide receiver room, and I think we're going to be excited about him next year or the year after. But I'm with you, man. I could see 7 games as well, Infrared, just based off of the talent alone and a modern NFL offense utilizing the skills. Because, again, this offensive line is a key component to it. Top 10 the moment Tyron Smith just got kicked off the field. So I think you're going to go ahead and see this running game take a step up as well. Just need some competent coaching. 8 to 9 wins. I would love us to trade down. The thing is, you need a willing partner to trade down. And I don't see anybody moving up to grab anyone unless somehow one of those quarterbacks fall to number 7, or I mean, there's no way Abdul Carter's falling to us. He's gone. Yeah, I have a hard time seeing us being able to find a willing partner to trade down, but I'd be 100% on board for it if that was the case. Yes, agreed 1,000%, Miguel. If somehow Shedeur Sanders falls to number 7, the Cowboys will give up the farm to get Shedeur Sanders. I do believe that. And you'll see freaking Sanders' dad as the head coach for that team year after next. I believe that will be the best case scenario for Jerry Jones to decide he wants Shedeur Sanders, because he does dumb things when he wants something. When it comes to being an NFL GM, we can get a haul if Shedeur Sanders is there at number 7, and Jerry Jones, who I believe will want him, because you know what, I'm going to get Shedeur Sanders, and then Dion will be the freaking coach next year after I fire freaking whoever they got as their freaking coach. All right. Next year is brutal. Yeah. So Wild Wave, I gotta touch on this. Our schedule is tough next year. Our schedule is not going to be friendly, and I get it. Every season, like, there's variations of what that's going to actually look like. But if we're being honest, next season's opponents, it looks tough. And Wild Wave, you know what, you're right. Again, 7 wins I think is still very feasible. I think we can sneak into potentially that freaking 9 wins type of a season. But again, I'm also if it's 4 wins and it's 5 wins or whatever, and we're a top 3 pick in the draft, I've convinced myself that is okay too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've gotten in this weird place now where I'm never going to root for L's. I'm not built for it. I can't do it. But if we wind up winning only 3 or 4 games next year, and we're in that reach to getting a real quarterback for this team, I've convinced myself that I'll be okay. It's because next season it's going to be some tough matchups. Miguel asked, would rather have the Jets trade back and get some extra seconds in the 3rd round. 100%. If we found a willing partner, I'm down with that. Trade back, grab a couple of 2nd and 3rd rounders. Again, there's a lot of depth right now in this draft at tight end. There's a ton of running backs, but I don't know if we'll need a running back. Defensive tackle is really deep as well. Safety is it's got some safeties options as well. Even some of those like middle of the road, like quarterbacks, I wouldn't mind, you know what I'm saying, grabbing one of those guys to bring in and compete. Not a single QB this year's draft is worth the risk trading away one of our stars. No, Miguel, not in this year's draft. No. Oh my God, no. Let me make sure I'm clear about that. When I said trading away one of our studs, I was referring to next year's draft. If we win too many games in next year, we're like 7th or 8th because we won 7 to 8 games, right? So we're 7th or 8th pick. I could see it costing us a stud, one of our stars, to move up to that 1 or 2 to get our quarterback, to get our franchise guy. In this draft class, I wouldn't trade Malachi Corley to move up in this draft class. I wouldn't trade this draft class, I don't want to trade anything. I just don't think there's anybody worth trading up for in this draft class. Unless you're going up for Abdul Carter, which, I mean, I wouldn't be mad at it. But I don't think we're going to do that either. I don't think this team is in a position to go ahead and give up assets to add players because you like them. I think you got to go ahead and do this the right way. You got to be very, very, strategic in your picks in this draft class. You got to get this right. You got to get this one right. And then you're going to take your licks, going into the 2025 season. And then you've got to go ahead and make the move for your guy next year. If I wasn't clear about that, Miguel, you're 100% right. There is not a single QB in this year's draft that is worth the risk of trading away. Not even our any possible starter on our roster. I'm not a fan of these QBs in any. I don't want any quarterbacks in the first, second, or third. Right? Like, just get us one of those guys in the mid rounds to come in here and compete. Maybe be our freaking practice squad guy. Yep, everybody's on board. It's like trading back is the way to go. Picks in the top 10 are expensive. Football is a collision sport, and you need depth. Yep, Aaron Glenn did wonders with the Lions' injuries. Depth was a factor, plus his coaching. That's facts. That's just being honest. Let me see. Yeah, I think we're all done with freaking. I think we're all done with freaking Clemens. It was fun, when it was fun. But now at this point, it's just he's become an unnecessary distraction for a guy who doesn't really contribute. It's actually kind of frustrating because it's getting to the point of embarrassing now. We don't even have a tight end for a Ward, unfortunately, on the wide receiver too. Yeah, like I said before, we don't have the pieces here for the get the quarterback. This isn't the year. We don't. We need to add some legitimate pieces to fortify certain aspects. That tight end room is depleted. I don't know if Conklin is back. I don't know if Ruckert can play. Our tight end room is a non-factor. After Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall, every other pass catcher currently, well, Devontae Adams is technically on the roster, but you know what I mean? It's suspect. I think we need to invest this year in making sure we have a capable roster that a young stud quarterback can come into. It's going to take some lumps, I'm sure, but you can start seeing the progression because we've already kind of built the floor for him to go ahead and, take the next step at the NFL level. Yeah, I don't see us. I'd love this, honestly. I love Tyler Warren. He's one of my favorite freaking players in this draft class. So I've convinced myself that if somehow, some way, like Tet's gone and, Abdul's gone, freaking, if they went Tyler Warren at number 7, I've actually convinced myself, I get it, best tight end in this group. But so I love Warren. I do. And I would love that route, Wild Wave, if they go that route. I don't know if they will. I don't know if they have the same, grade on him as I do. But I wouldn't be mad at it. Call me crazy, but I wouldn't be mad at it at all. All right. Yep. Vero, you said it best, man. It's the offseason. Enjoy your night. But I appreciate you guys. Jets Afterburner Podcast. Appreciate you guys. Hey, man, all of you guys for jumping on and chopping it up with me, man. Big Green, Wild Wave, Jets Afterburner Podcast, Vero Beach, DK, Infrared Jets, Zoe Royalty, Miguel Padilla, man. Infrared, I got you. Wild Wave, got you. I don't want to miss it. Sharp Instincts, man. I appreciate you guys. Listen, I really do appreciate y'all. Make this so fun, man. Y'all do. And I know it's the off season, but it's the Jets, man. And you guys make this Jimmy Jets, appreciate you, brother. You guys make this fun. I look forward to these engagement interactions. I told myself 30 minutes, just get some of the stuff out and then jump off. But then I just get sucked in because again, we're a fraternity, man. We're a fraternity of suffering Jets fans. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate you guys spending your Tuesday nights with me. I'm gonna go ahead and spend some time with the wife. I'm going to be in New Jersey next week. I think I should still be. I'm not sure if I'm leaving Tuesday or Wednesday, but we'll do the show either way. It'll be different if I'm in Jersey or if I'm home, but gonna be going to Jersey next week to go ahead and help out my dad with my aunt and moving her to Texas. But yeah, I appreciate you all, man, for chopping up with me tonight. Y'all have a wonderful evening. And listen, at the very least, it looks like we have adults in the building, man, as Jets fans. It's been a while. Big Green, appreciate you for jumping in, man. Dak and a pick swap, that would be that I would be heated if that's what wind up happening. No, that's gonna be a no for me, big dog. They can keep Dak. You know what I'm saying? We just want the picks. But yeah, appreciate you guys for jumping on. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe, man. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Y'all make this show fun. I'm trying to get us to 2K to do a massive Joe Namath signed jersey giveaway. If we can do that before, you know what I'm saying, we get to the draft, I'm going to be making it a 3-part giveaway during the draft, you know what I'm saying, to celebrate making it to 2K. And of course, as a thank you to you guys for just being you guys, man. I appreciate you guys. For my Fire team members, as always, in all of those particular giveaways, you will have multiple submissions. Again, as a thank you for your loyalty and then chopping it up with me for all this time. But that's it, man. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell your friends about the channel, man. I see again 70, I think I forgot the math, 73 or 75% of the individuals who viewed my content in the last 2 months are not subscribed. But you guys are jumping on YouTube and you're watching the show. I'm seeing my engagement in terms of like how long you're watching it going up. Just do me a favor, man. It's very easy. Just go ahead and like and subscribe real quick. I appreciate y'all. And then just become part of the freaking become part of the squad, the situation squad. Yeah, listen, I gotta go. The wife is definitely waiting on me. I wouldn't mind Edwards as a late round pick either. Like a lot of people seem to be like, down on him. But again, as his late round flyer, bringing the dude in, I wouldn't be mad at it. Really wouldn't be mad at it. All right, y'all. Appreciate you guys. Y'all have a wonderful evening. As always, go Jets. I'll see you guys next week.
I can do it all, I will never fall. It's the Renaissance, you know that I got the mother sauce, man. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you ever lost? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance, man. I can do it all, I will never fall. It's the Renaissance, you know that I got the mother sauce, man. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you ever lost? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance, man.
Any players that's here now, put your seatbelts on and get ready for the ride. Put your seatbelts on and get ready for the ride. Listen, there are going to be some challenges, but with challenges gets opportunity. But here's what I do know. We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.